Hi. Wow, it's a full room. I'm really looking forward. I'm really excited to be here today. Thank you for having me. Before I start, can everybody see the screen? The screen. Okay. Okay. Sometimes I don't know because my chair sometimes it's in the way. Uh, yeah, I was born with multiple Tourette syndrome and scoliosis, as well as arthrogryposis, which I don't really actually say that part very often because it's so hard to put out. So I don't. I always forget that one. But anyway, uh, multiple intuitive syndrome is basically well the your joints and your arms and your legs are basically locked, which means that it just means that you basically don't have a lot. You're very limited on the ways. You know, we all have positions that our arms and legs just don't want to go, and my arms and legs. My legs were definitely worse than my arms. My arms, I have a more uh, limits on them as far as like I can do everything like over here like this, but I'm not able to reach my face or my head or anything like that. So, and it doesn't, you know, it only goes to about here. And the only reason why I can feed myself is because the length of the spoon. So that's always that's a good thing. I'm moving up in the world. Uh, my legs, on the other hand, was definitely a lot worse. I actually had no mobility in my legs. I could not move them front or back or sideways, or they were just stuck in one position, which means they were uh, like, you know how when you're like sitting on the ground, you have to put your legs in front of you to like stand back up. Well, my legs were basically locked in that position, um, and the amount of sensitivity, like to touch or to um, you know, like most people when they, you know, when they touch, like when you touch your feet or you rub your feet, it's, you know, it's a good feeling, it's a good thing. For me, it actually was very painful. It was a lot of nerve damage, a lot of um, circulation was like not good at all. It was almost like it felt like, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, but it was almost like I had nothing but dead tissue. I mean, it was like I had no control over them. So um, that was definitely rough. And I also had scoliosis, which basically makes it so your back uh, is like crooked. So it's like when I'm like right now when I'm looking at all of you, I feel like I'm looking at you like straight, but I can imagine like when you're looking at me, I'm like this, and so it's it definitely is a struggle sometimes because I did have my a lot of back surgeries. Well, I uh, had like four titanium limb implants put in on like each side of my back to help it slow the progression of the scoliosis so that my back wouldn't the scoliosis wouldn't increase, which was ended up it did help, and I actually had my spine was fused so that it wouldn't go any further. Um, I you know, as a kid, I Was just any other kid, a happy kid.
You're super cute.
I'm sorry, what?
They're
You're
looking at
super
the-
cute in that
Oh
picture.
yeah,
I have
thank
to
you.
say.
Yeah.
I know your
that's-
mom is.
Yeah. I was pretty much just like any other kid, just a happy kid. Liked to play with my toys and Legos and Hot Wheels and Star Wars toys and any toy that I could get a hold of. But I wasn't able to crawl, so or walk or anything. So what I would do is I would scoot, and that's basically how I got around. I did I wore braces on my legs, and so that kind of helped me to be able to kind of move, kind of scoot, because it would the braces would make my feet just kind of slide, because they were protected, they were in these braces, so it was a lot easier to get around when I had those. And yeah, I just came to school. I went to Charlotte Elementary, and it was I had a lot of good times over there. The staff was really great. I made some friends, and I was always pretty much included on what all the other kids, what activities they were doing. And everything from coloring to doing like a science activity. A lot of good times. Recess recess was a little different, because a lot of the kids, they had tetherball, they had basketball, and all kinds of stuff that I really wasn't able to do. So I would actually kind of go. I don't know if you've ever seen Charwood Elementary, but on the side of the building there's like a brick wall there, over toward the parking lot, and I would kind of hang out over there, and just kind of hang out till recess was over, because I wasn't like mad, I wasn't sad or anything. I was definitely antisocial. I didn't really talk to anybody, didn't really do a whole lot. I in between, like the transitioning between my home life to my school, being a student, was challenging, because I had there were a lot of surgeries that I ended up having to have, whether it be on my legs or my back, and those surgeries that I would have were pretty major surgeries that would take. Sometimes it'd take like 2 to 3 weeks to recover after the surgery. So there were a lot of days that I would miss in school, and then I would have to, and even after recovery, even still, that was a little challenging, because now I'm supposed to just come back to school and just be back to being a kid and being a student, and and that was not easy at times, because I was tired. When you have surgery and you have all these things that are happening with your health and all that, it was very exhausting, especially for at my age. It was like, wow, So I always thought to myself, I would see all these kids playing during recess, and I would be like, wow, I just wish I had their energy. I mean, I'm 30 years old, and I still to this day don't have a whole lot of energy. I have an 11-year-old niece that goes now at Shaw Road
Wow.
right now, and her friends have all this energy, and I'm like, ah. So it's, but it's a really great school, and I really enjoyed being there. In my when I was in 5th grade, is when I started to do like loan stuff, like I think like a little bit of that, like how to change a light bulb, like how that works, and electricity, and science and that kind of thing. And you actually doing activity about that. And I'm a visual learner, so I always learned and enjoyed it by actually doing things. And that was one of the things that I really enjoyed doing was doing the activities that they had, and the teacher that I had, she was great, always, great mood, great energy, just great to learn from, and yeah, my sixth grade year was still good. Um, I think I had gotten. I started driving a power chair at the time, and it wasn't the power chair that I had now. I had a different kind of power chair, which was a lot bigger. It had a really big back end, and elementary school classrooms are not all that big, and so. I remember we had like the lockers and whatnot, and I don't remember why I would go over to that spot, but I remember where I was going, and I ended up hitting the doors, and the doors actually came off the hinges of the and I don't know, I didn't know, I wasn't very good at driving the chair, and I remember my teacher was pretty upset about that, but I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I felt really bad about that, still to this day. But it was still good. I had a lot of good experiences. I got to go to what's called sixth grade camp.
Yeah.
Which was well, for me, I think, at first I didn't know what that was, but I was like, okay, I was looking forward to it, uh, and I already knew like a little bit about it, but I remember I went out with the class, and we go out to this camp, and there was a lot of things at the camp I remember that I wasn't really able to do a lot of, except just kind of hang out. And I remember uh, I at that point I was gonna end up staying the night at the camp, and that was my first time kind of being like away from home, and besides the hospital. Um, and so I didn't really know anybody, didn't really know like how to like what to do. And I think the what was it? The head of the I remember like the head of the camp, the guy who was in charge of everything. Uh, I remember I was like feeling really homesick, and I wanted to call my mom, and I actually wanted to go home because I just didn't really feel like I was having fun, and I just wanted to go home, and then of course he told me that that's not what we do here or something like that. I don't know. I didn't really like that guy too much. He seemed to kind of have this like attitude, kind of control type deal, and I didn't really, And I remember one night, me and me and the other kids that were in the in our cabin or whatever they called it, we were we had one of the counselors there. He had a boom box in there, and I don't know. I can't remember if I brought the CD or somebody brought the CD, and I remember we blasted a Will Smith CD, and because he was one of my favorite rappers and actors, and I remember we blasted his music, and it was like late at night, and anyway, he came in, the lead guy came in, and he didn't like that too much, and we had to.
He wasn't getting jiggy with it. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
He looked at the cultural, and then of course for whatever reason he looked at me, and which I don't, I didn't, I'm not the one who told the boombox out. But anyway, so yeah, I mean it was okay, it was fun, but anyway, I ended up having a stomach issue, and I ended up needing to go home, and so I did get to go home early, which was fine with me. But yeah, so I went home and but then I did. It was after that. It was back to school, and yeah, I had. Yeah, it was definitely some really good times and a lot of struggles too. That was the end of the sixth grade, and I remember going into junior high, and it was just a little different because in elementary school you're in one classroom for all day, and that's how it is. But in junior high, you gotta go to the first period, second period, third period, fourth period, and I think there's like 5 or 6, and it was a little bit challenging at first because first period was on the first floor, then second period might have been on the second floor, so I had to go in the elevator, go downstairs, and then try to get to that class on time, and it all depended on if the elevator wanted to work or not, and so it just was a different vibe, a different atmosphere, and it was definitely. In junior high, I think the expectations are up there, up higher, and you have to go. You're expected to go to class and do work, and it's just it's like wow. And I remember I had this read write class, which was a reading program because I was in special education, which meant that I was supposed to be in classes that could kind of, you had what's called para educators that can help you get ready for help you with your assignments or give you the extra time that you might need. And so that's what I had, and it was good for about the first year and a half, my 7th grade year, and then and the reading program that I had was out in a portable, which that was because the school was right here, and the portable was on the other end. And they still expected you to get to the class on time, so that was a little stressful. But anyway, so but it was good. I had good teachers, and I had a good, and not just for me, but everybody really loved the reading class. And I remember we had about I think it was the middle or 8th grade. We all had a system. We all had a system that we all did well at, and we had gotten this new teacher, and I guess she was gonna be like our new teacher. She was gonna be like ended up being like the only one, so there wasn't gonna be any more like extra teachers now or paraeducators. Um, there was a lot of things that changed. A lot of things that went on that I was seeing. I remember she came in and she had this very strict, uh, like attitude, almost like a boot camp kind of thing. And I remember when I was sitting there, me and my classmates were all sitting there, we're like, wow, because it went from being really quiet, nice flow to like, wow, boot camp, and it was, yeah, I was interested, and I guess people that are in special education, they have what's called an IEP manager, and she ended up being my IEP manager, and I thought, well, okay, great. I have somebody that is in my corner. She could just help me make sure that I have the right classes, make sure that I'm doing okay, and all this. Well, she ended up kind of being as if she was my parole officer, which was very strange, and she would start to instruct paraeducators to kind of keep tabs on me of like what I was doing, where I was going, basically how my behavior was, instead of the school, my schoolwork, and making sure that I was doing okay with that. It just became a real problem, and it changed me a lot because I'd get, accused of not trying hard, not trying hard, or not listening, or not following the rules. There was a time where she had said that I was endangering the other students with my wheelchair. Um, at one point, she had wanted me to go. There was a conference room across from the classroom. She wanted me to go over there because she said that I was like, I couldn't. She claimed that I couldn't concentrate. I wasn't able to concentrate with where I was at. Just things like that. And it kind of spiraled out of control. I'd get like detentions all the time. I'd get, she tried to like intimidate me by calling security, which, by the way, that security and I became very good friends. And they would use that security guard to try to intimidate me, but that was never the case at all. Obviously, there were times where I crossed the line and I said or did things that was not okay out of frustration, and he did have to let me know that that wasn't okay. But out of everybody in that building, he never thought anything less of me as a person. He was always, there for me, which was probably what saved me, because I just felt so alone. I felt so like an outcast. Didn't fit in. Didn't really have a lot of friends. It was very rough, and I did become. It did change me. I became, really angry. Didn't want to be there at all. Didn't like school. I found to not like school at all. There was a whole big thing that had happened. Because the principal got involved, and then my dad, he found what was going on, so he and the principal, was talking, and I guess toward the end of the school year, the teacher decided that she didn't want me in the classroom, didn't want to be my case manager didn't want to be, which was of course was fine with me because her and I did not get along. So it was fine with me, but the problem was is that she was gonna not pass me, pass the class. So she was gonna actually, you know, hit the stamp that I did not, that I basically failed the class. Of course, you know, my dad had told the principal that if she had not passed me in the class, then a lawsuit would take place. Well, somehow, because of that, that word got out into the rest of the students in the school. So now I became the kid that's father was going to sue the school. So now I'm like, you know how you're like going down the hall, right? Like in a movie, you go down the hall and everyone just kind of looks at you, or everyone just kind of talks about you like from afar. Like yeah, that was huge about me. So you know, just being angry, always defending myself, always just. I did have a friend. I had one friend that him and I, you know, he had my back, I had his back, and we just kind of stuck together through all this because he was there when all that went down, so he saw everything. And so yeah, he kind of course, he thought the whole thing was funny. I don't know why, I don't know how he thought that any of that was funny, but I guess it's because he wasn't, like, he didn't really take it too seriously. He didn't really care. Versus me, I took it differently. But he, you know, there was even a time where every time my friend would defend me, they didn't like that. They actually would try to say that me and this friend could not hang out anymore. Which of course, he thought that was funny because, you know, he knew he didn't care. He just that wasn't gonna happen, and so he wasn't worried about that. But me, I was pretty upset about it. The manipulation, the control. There was a lot of things that happened, and you know, back then there wasn't smartphones, there wasn't anything, so nothing ever got. There was nothing ever. You know, nobody got held accountable. Versus nowadays, still to this day, there are all videos that are surfacing now on social media of teachers being in front of students, talking down to them, yelling at them, being very, very rude. And I don't think that, still to this day, I don't think people understand the severity and the serious of that, of what that could do. But you know, it is what it is, and I'm just glad I'm just glad that students now have smartphones, so that they can get closure for what they deal with. But when I was in high school, it was definitely better. I made a lot more friends now. Same thing with the security guards, you know, sometimes people would try to intimidate me with them again, and of course they ended up, me and them ended up being really good friends as well. So, in fact, still to this day, sometimes I see them around town. It's a small town, so I've seen, you know, sometimes I see them. I seen them at the ball one time.
Was it PHS you went to? Gallup High School?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, you know, I just think that that's, you know, funny that, you know, people would try to intimidate me a lot growing up. And, you know, like teachers and stuff, they try to, like, you know, intimidate me with security guards and all that. But me and the security guards, out of anybody, became the bestest friends. So it was interesting. But you know, it was what it was. It was kind of the same concept where I had a teacher who ended up being my IEP manager over there, and she was good, but she also had that kind of control thing going on, because she her expectations were like up here, and I could only do so much. I could do one assignment at a time. She would want me to do 2 to 3 assignments in the same hour. And so, uh, and if I didn't, that means to her that meant that I wasn't trying hard enough, and that I, had to stay in for lunch, or I had to have detention, or I had to have. I mean, it just was insane. But I did graduate. From high school, and yeah, it was rough, but I made it, and yeah.
What class were you? Do you mind sharing and aging yourself?
I'm sorry.
What class were you in? Class of?
Oh, 2011.
Babies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
2011. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think what I like about what I do like about especially elementary school is it's just a fun um, dynamic of everybody is it's like the teachers in elementary schools, they love what they do. um, I could see all of you guys, you love what you do, you really take passion, you take your job serious, and you always treat the students like they're important, like they matter, like you're happy that they come to school, and I think that that's very important because as kids grow up, they're gonna remember that each year. School is a huge part of their lives, and so when they go to junior high, they're gonna remember what it was like in elementary school. When they go to high school, they're gonna remember how it was in junior high, and so it's just a very important thing, and they're gonna remember you guys for. Like, oh yeah, I remember her, she was awesome, and I had my 4th grade teacher, she was really, really awesome. I still, to this day, she's a Facebook friend, so I still, keep in touch with her, and she's really, she had that same energy, that same happiness, that passion, that, and in high school, I had a couple teachers, my multicultural studies teacher, and I still keep in touch with him today. And I have, I think, history class, just regular history teacher, and he was very cool. Even if I did fall asleep during his class, like every day, he was still a very good guy, and I still keep in touch with him as well. So they're proud of me, and they always have treated me like I was somebody, and I really appreciate that from them. So yeah.
So what would you say to this group of all of us who are in education at some level, whether we're teachers or parents or principals, or what's the 1, 2, 3 top things at the most? What should we do this fall when those kids come through our doors? How do we make kids feel welcome? Like, how do we open that up? What is your advice for us?
I mean, just definitely just be like, hey, welcome, and glad you're here, and we're gonna, I don't know how you guys usually do it, but I mean, just basically kindness, happiness, just make them feel like, hey, we are happy that you're here, and we're gonna just kind of include them in whatever it is going on. Don't don't try to show that like you're irritated, or like you're like, don't make them feel like, oh my god, like I'm this way because of, I'm frustrated at of you or something. Make it try, don't make them feel like don't make them feel like you're that they'll like a pest or in the way, or a bother, or things like that. Which, I mean, I feel like most elementary schools are I think a lot of elementary staff is just happy. A lot more than the junior high and high school, and I think that's just because
I've experienced that.
I think that's just because junior high and high school is challenging, because kids are going through different stages, and they're tired. The teacher gets tired. The student thinks that the teacher is frustrating. The teacher thinks that the student is frustrating. And by the time we're in junior high, I mean, we talk a lot. We talk too much in junior high, and we get kind of we get cocky, and we get ballsy, and we get we think that we own the world at that stage, and that could be challenging. To have I think that's a lot of things that happens, is that just the disagreements that happen. It reaches a boiling point. Neither one of the teacher or the student steps away and be like, because a lot of times if the student is frustrated, they start walking away. A lot of times teacher is like, no, don't, come back here. No, you can't. No, that's you don't want to do that. That's shit. You gotta just let the kid go, and just let him be for a little bit, so that when you calm down, then you can come back and walk it out or move forward or whatever.
So can we take questions and stuff? And then I was just curious, you want to introduce Chris and your mom?
Oh, yeah. This is my mom. She's very, she's seen it all, she's been through it all. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for her, so she's my best friend, my Uber driver, my everything, my agent as well. My best friend, my just everything. So she's really great. She's always supported me, always been there for me, and still is today. And and this is Chris. He's a great friend. He's also my boss as well. I work for him on his business with Wolf Camp. He runs a day camp, and as well as, I'm sure you can explain better than I can. But he saw one of my videos. That's what I do now. I make videos on showing how I live my life and the things I like to do, and kind of a mixture of entertainment, inspirational, educational type things. And I like to go out on accessible nature hike trails. Like the foothills trails. I love those, and one day I did that, and I did a video talking about the foothill trail and what I liked about it and everything. And he saw that video, and he became my #1 fan on the on one of the.
You might get some requests for Facebook friends today too. So be prepared to say yes to
Yes. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I mean, pretty much whenever you turn, you won't be able to get away from me. So yeah. So, but those are some of the goals that I have in my life. I want to try to. I am working with somebody to help me make a documentary or biography. I don't know if that's the same thing, but about my life, my life story. And I think I'm doing that because I just number one, I love TV and I love entertainment. Second of all, I want people, especially the newer generation, I want them to see that and be like, wow, like yeah, he went through a lot of stuff, but he came out and because he woke up every day and he got out of bed and he never gave up and he never. He never quit, even though he wanted to, even though some days he basically did at some days. And it's okay to do that, maybe one day you're like, oh my God, I can't get off the couch. And that's okay, but then, the following day, then you gotta get up and you gotta move forward. I mean, it's okay to not be okay, so it's just, you can't be like that all the time. You gotta move forward. So.
Awesome. Questions? Thoughts?
Yeah.
Start over here. We'll work this way. Yeah.
First off, it's great that you felt great in elementary school. That's what we do. What's a specific example of a time where you're like, how am I gonna be included in this? Where a teacher made it work for you, where you're like, wow, I'm included. This is awesome that teacher did that for me.
Yeah, well, basically, in elementary school, of course, all the desks, which it was nothing like this. These tables are awesome, by the way. We had, little desks that like against each other, and then we all sat like in a group, and so basically, we didn't really have any other choice, and I think the teacher definitely made it work for the other students to work with me, and that we all made sure that I worked with them and they worked with me. So it wasn't like this awkward thing, which I think it made the students feel, the teacher made the students feel comfortable and good about it, because they just said, hey, this is Matt, and we're gonna you guys start this, and then he's gonna put the little wire in the potato, and that kind of thing.
Nice.
So then I think that really helped a lot. Kind of break that awkward barrier, and I think that's very important. I mean, that's what you learn, and that's how you develop social skills are very important in school, and I mean good social skills. Yeah.
So she was really intentional about finding ways to make sure you were.
Yeah. It's just recess was a little hard because they. The teachers that's when the teachers had their break.
Right.
And so, there were only 2 guard duties out there. That wasn't, they didn't.
That's all right.
Yeah, so.
Thank you.
And Logan had a question.
Yeah.
I think one of your slides said something about your positive experiences in elementary school were like attributed to them, your teachers talking about you and your experience, or did you talk about that, or can you explain a little bit more about that? I think it was 2nd grade. Can you go back to it?
Your slides are great too, Matt. They're really informative. Yeah.
I'm sorry, you might have to repeat.
No, it wasn't this one. 1st grade.
There it is.
Let's see if I can read that.
Sharing, so other kids like mine can have similar experiences. Oh, okay. I guess it didn't really say that, but Yeah. Did you ever like share your experiences with your class? Is
Oh,
what I'm trying to
oh,
ask.
you know what? No, because you know, when kids are that young, they really don't understand. Unfortunately, you know, my life outside of elementary school was the kind of a Stephen King movie type movie.
Your mom's hand goes down. Such a
it-
long response. I love it.
as far as you know, just a lot of different
Yeah.
you know, different operations, different health
Oh,
and
yeah.
medical stuff. So I think, yeah, I wasn't much of a
Yeah, I was
You
gonna
mind if I
say.
say?
yeah. Like,
What is your
yeah,
experience with all
Well,
this?
in
This is
third-
great.
I remember in third grade was when he had his first, titanium, it was the fall of third grade. And the teacher, cause Matt was gonna be out for, well, I don't know, I think it was a couple weeks cause after surgery, I remember, cause that surgery was his first super big one. And he was, like gonna be out of school, recovering even from the hospital and the teacher made sure when Matt came back and he talked to she talked to everybody and they really kind of explained to the kids about what was going on with Matt and that he was gonna have this surgery and he was gonna be out and, you know, and all of
Right.
this. And then to backtrack, in your kindergarten, before kindergarten, when he had his legs and we were trying to straighten them out and he had there's that one picture with him with that thing on his leg and that's called an Elizarov rack. And it's mostly done with bone lengthening. But with Matt, it was a soft tissue lengthening. And, so he had that put on the summer before kindergarten. And then, so then he had to go to kindergarten with that on. And it was really neat, cause the therapist put this thing on his chair to help like support it and to, you know, cause it's like, okay, you know, now you're gonna have a bunch of 5-year-olds and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But he had this big thing on his chair and it kind of, like protected his legs so they wouldn't be bumping into it and
Right.
things like that. And then that spring, he got it off and the teacher talked to the kids about that too, and I remember some of the teachers, especially after a surgery or after a
Yeah.
big surgery, which we usually try to have it in the summer, but, yeah, his back ones were, yeah, he had that first one in the fall, and then he had 2 more put in that spring. And then every 6 months, he had to have them lengthened as he grew. And so his back kind of became a railroad track, but,
So that felt comfortable though and good to have a teacher just talk about your story like that. Do you think it's good to have like you and your mom, if you were a little boy again, come into a classroom and share your story? Would that be an encouraging thing to do, looking back on what you've experienced, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, yeah, I think that if kids, you know, definitely had questions that
Yeah,
definitely,
right.
if they asked questions or, you know, which I think is very good, you know, clearly, because I mean, you know, I was out of class and then all of a sudden
And
I
then
come
you're
back
in class, yeah.
so that was, you know, I remember, I remember coming back to school with the laser off, and I mean that was, you know, tough.
Right.
It's like, you know, what am I, you know, supposed to do? Because I have to keep it at a certain spot. You know, I can't just
Move it
put it
around.
on. I can't just put it on my desk. So I mean, it was a little. It was a little challenging at times, but and of course, you know, my mom remembers all of that a lot more than I do. It was kind of very briefly. I you know, so much has happened in my life. Sometimes I don't always remember the all the details from my as being that young, and but I was 12 years old when I had my I decided to have my legs amputated because due to the surgery with the laser off being unsuccessful, and my legs would end up kind of deforming again, and yeah, it was just very painful. A lot of that was a huge part of my childhood. But you know, I had good friends. I had good teachers. I had good family. I had a lot of support. A lot of nurses, doctors, night home care nurses. I mean, physical therapists. I mean, it was a lot of people, but
It's a lot for a little boy.
yeah,
Right, yeah.
And all these people become like your extended, friends and family,
Right.
whether it's somebody your own age or an adult. You get attached, and then time goes on, and that teacher either goes to a different job, or they retire, or they pass away, or I mean, it's and I've had a lot of that, so it's quite interesting. So
Other questions? I hope I saw some hands. Everybody through that one? No. This has been really great, and so it sound like I just have to ask this, and you can be very blunt. How was access for you when you were little? Like you mentioned, going to a portable at the high school. Was there a real effort made to find a desk that worked for you, to find a schedule where you weren't having to move around as much, or do you feel that there could have been some improvement in that? Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, How accommodating and accessible were things made to you, or were they could have been done better? And if so, like what could we learn from that?
well, I know that in elementary school, as I had explained, it was definitely. Yeah, it was rough in elementary school. In fact, I think I would transfer over to one of the normal desk chairs because there wasn't really enough room for my power
So you
chair.
didn't have a special desk that you could accept.
Right.
In some grades,
In what?
in some grades you did, didn't you, or at some times?
Well,
No?
not really,
No.
not really, because
Yeah.
the chair that I had a really big back.
Yeah,
back
so
end.
you would need one to wheel into.
Yeah,
So
but-
I'm hoping things are better along those lines to make sure that you can come into a desk like any other student could come in and not
Yeah,
have to
and
be.
and I'm glad that you asked me that question because there were certain times where teacher would be like, oh, like, well, yeah. So I remember, I think it was my 6th grade teacher, his name was Mr. LaRue. I love that guy. He was fantastic.
You liked him too?
Him and I became, really good friends as well. He liked NASCAR. I liked NASCAR. I would bring him a NASCAR poster at the end of the year. He really liked that, so he's a really cool guy. And I remember, he'd always make sure that I was, and if not, he would go and get a table
See?
himself, and he would
Yeah.
bring
Right,
it in.
right.
So it really depends on the teacher.
Yeah.
It depends on what mood the teacher was in, whether or not they feel that they want to do that. Like right now, this library and the tables and everything
Yeah.
is great.
Right.
There's big space. The chair. It's so easy to just pull out a chair and the wheelchair or whatever just pulls right up to the table. So it's everybody's all included in one. So
Right.
that's really good, especially for being a library. So that's awesome.
And to just maneuver through it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, now, in junior high and high school, because junior high was the old building that they used to have at the college junior high.
Oh, so yeah, that was, yeah.
They had, that's where they had the portables. So that's when the portables were all the way at the end, which is, well, a lot of times me and my friend would dip out the side of the because you had the portable and then the building was all the way over here, so it was very easy to play hooky if we wanted to. And so when they built the new school, it was a lot better as far as because there were tables instead of the desks. Those desks in some of the desks that they had in like, you know, it was all one, you know, you had the chair attached to the desk, and if you take the chair, you take the desk, and it didn't work. But anyway, at high school, so junior high and high school, it was a lot better because they were all tables, and so the people could just, you know, go in front of the table.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. We're wrapping up. Any last questions before we go? We are so glad you came and met with us and just give us your story and how we can be welcoming.
Yeah.
Especially with school starting not too far into the future. But it's just interesting no matter who's come to speak to us, whether it's Malachi, we had Aaron Jones, now we've had Matt, the importance of belonging.
Yeah.
Like all of you had different experiences. I don't know if you know Erin Jones, right? If you're aware of Erin, she's a speaker. She ran for OSPI superintendent years back. These three different people, but your common message is to try to find something to connect and make the kid feel welcome.
Yeah.
I mean, the message is the same with the three of you, even though your journeys are different. So I think that's pretty powerful when that's the common theme. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, the other thing I'd like to do is do public speaking as well. So I'm anytime I can come and
I'm thinking 6th graders and some of our older leadership kids. We'll connect with you in the fall on that. That would be really cool.
Nice, yeah.
all right, yeah.
Well, Matt, we're going to give you a round of applause, and then we want you to move over here and we can take a group picture.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much. And those pictures, Mom, are adorable, by the way. That little boy is pretty darn cute.
Oh, I know.
I mean, look, Matt, look at that.
Yes.
I mean, that's really cute.
Yeah. Well, if you can see my legs right there, they're
Locked in that position. Yeah, I've seen that pose. Yeah. If you can get back by Mom. Guys, if we can kind of wrap around, and Chris, why don't you sit